Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studios right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, March 17th. We are smack dab in the middle of the Ides of March. And like everyone else in the universe, I'm very uneasy. I think you're all uneasy. The doom scrolling, the headlines, like one horrifying headline after another. It is a barrage. It is relentless. It's information overload. And that's one of the reasons that I think we might be in the middle of a psyop. That is the headline of today's show. Is the entire Iran war, global war, nuclear war, absolute meltdown, is the entire narrative a fake news psyop that is ginned up and pushed out in order to put the entire population of the world in a state of fear and anxiety so that they can roll out something even worse, right? The solution to the problems that our governments are creating. We're going to talk about that with the Michael Yon today on the Shannon Joy Show. He is an independent geopolitical analyst and journalist and one of the best out there. We're going to look at this question in context of a very powerful video that it's making its way across the twit right now and also Substack, Geopolitics and Empire. Brendan O'Connell really calling this out, saying, you know what, there is not going to be a World War III. In the same way there wasn't really a Ukraine war, there was the Ukraine war, right? But what was there real? Was it? Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't some death and destruction, that the activities of the global planners certainly impacts regular people in their own homes. But is all of this ginned up? Is all of this actually created by the people who intend to put really disastrous solutions in place in the 21st century as we approach 2030? That's what we're going to be talking about with Michael Yon today on the SJ Show, among other things. We're going to hit the headlines in the first 15 minutes of the show. Then we are going to bring Michael Yon in at right about 12:35, 12:40 p.m. Eastern time. We'll spend the rest of the hour with him live here on the SJ Show. But first, I want to say hello to all of you. Mama C 1996 is chatting on the Rumble live chat. Great to see you, Mama C. Of course, we're live on Rumble, live on Twitter. We are on Spreely TV, Roku, Apple TV. We're also broadcasting live on Substack, on Facebook and YouTube as well. And of course, growing on our podcast platforms as well. If you are a podcast listener, please give the show a 5-star ratings and leave a great comment if you like the show. That helps us to grow. Mark the Regan is with us today on the live chat. Greetings and felicitations. Nice word. Looking forward to Michael Yon today. And I love the headline for today's show, Shannon, right? It's the end of the world as we know it, isn't it? Right? Everything's falling apart. We're all sensing it. We're all feeling it. And the doomsday headlines are strangely reminiscent to me of the fear porn propaganda assault that was launched shortly before the COVID-19 lockdowns. Again, beware the Ides of March. Everything bad that happens seems to happen in March. Similarly, the mass fear virus invites the government intervention. And as we all know, the government interventions and the government solutions are always infinitely more deadly than the scary events themselves. So what do we make of this? Well, we're gonna hash that out today. We have CJP Rumble with us on the live chat. To Avenge, great to see you on the live chat here on Rumble. Lies and disinformation, says To Avenge. It abounds to make us hate on our fellow Americans within the Uniparty. I absolutely agree, To Avenge. I think we are at the end stages of what feels like potentially a multi-decade psyop leveraged against the American people. The purpose is to divide us, and we are hopelessly divided, but more and more Americans are seeing through the two-party political circus, and that is a good thing. Mrs. Lovely is with us today. Great to see you, Mrs. Lovely. Good morning. Edgar 615, happy St. Patty's Day. I should have worn my green today. You know, there's so many headlines, so much going on that I actually forgot it was St. Patty's Day. But happy St. Patty's Day to all of you. Very, very thankful for our sponsors at the Shannon Joy Show. You're going to be hearing from some of our amazing sponsors today on the show. But first, I want to talk about a new sponsor, the Wellness Company. You guys know we have featured Wellness Company docs on the SJ Show for years. Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Really looking forward to having Dr. Kelly Victory on the show on a regular basis, and so thrilled to announce an amazing partnership 2026 with the Wellness Company as a sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show. It's an amazing company, and I'm super proud to be aligned with them. Anytime you shop at the Wellness Company, make sure you're using my landing page. It's twc.health/joy. And today I want to talk to you guys about ivermectin. I'm using their ivermectin cream right now, and it has been a lifesaver for rosacea. I haven't been dealing with acne or anything like that recently, but as I've aged, my skin has gotten bumpy and red sometimes, itchy, and I've been dealing with rosacea. The ivermectin cream from TWC is absolutely knocking it out. In fact, it started working within a day or two of using it, and I have not had any problems since. You know, if you think you're dealing with bad skin as an adult and acne, you might be dealing with something else, an untreated root cause. And it starts small. If you're like me, it's a little redness, a few bumps, and then it expands, and then it becomes consistent and persistent. You go through the cycle of doctor appointments trying to figure out what's going on, one product after another, and you're not alone. So 25% of adults struggle with acne, and more than 14 million Americans battle rosacea. 1 in 10 people suffer from chronic dermatitis or eczema. So these are not just cosmetic issues. They itch, they burn, and they crush confidence. And I have been dealing with this for many years. I can't believe how well the ivermectin cream works. It's called Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream from the Wellness Company. It's a dermatologist designed prescription formula that targets the root cause safely, gently, and under the skin. So it helps to clear your clogged pores and brighten the skin. It reduces inflammation, and it helps control bacterial overgrowth to calm in irritation. It's amazing. I love this product. You can have it too. Go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. Use the promo code JOY. You'll save $20 off plus free shipping in your first for your first order. So that's twc.health/joy. twc.health/joy. And let me tell you, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to have to be on the video every single day. You know, I used to be a podcaster, and that was great. I could come in my pajamas with my hair everywhere, don't have to do hair and makeup. It was just audio, radio, and podcast. And ever since platforming out to all of these video platforms, it matters a little bit more, and you want to have that confidence. I want to have that confidence. So I'm super thankful to the folks over at TWC. The ivermectin cream is an absolute miracle worker. So thank you to the Wellness Company and all of our sponsors here in the Shannon Joy Show. So we're going to go through some headlines. I mean, these are just, I don't know what to make of the headlines. It's just relentless. Doomsday, doom scrolling, one insane headline after another. Nebraska is on fire. We have massive weather fluctuations happening throughout the East Coast. Cuba, what's going on in Cuba? This was pushed out. Their national power grid just collapsed. Cuba is entirely in the dark right now. They're also facing a 6.0 earthquake, which just hit the island. No power, no water pumps. The U.S. oil blockade is cutting off all fuel shipments. So Venezuela and Mexican routes are both blocked. I mean, this is insane. So Cuba is on fire. Donald Trump apparently sensing a bargain came out yesterday and said in the Oval Office, I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. So I guess Cuba's on the table now, including Greenland and Venezuela, Donald Trump. I mean, the Mad King strikes again. It's a circus sideshow. This is the quote. I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. Free it, take it. I think I can do anything I want with it. If you want to know the truth, he's lost his mind. Okay. Asian countries, including Sri Lanka, are declaring Wednesdays off now to try to conserve fuel as the oil crisis persists, prompting blackouts, brownouts, energy crises across the globe. This is from Vigilant Fox. Peter Thiel, the techno fascist in chief. Oh, so this is great. He's hosting a super secret anti-Christ lecture in Rome. This guy has been out there lecturing, propagandizing evangelical Christians, started in Silicon Valley, California. He's now heading to the Vatican in Rome to host secret anti-Christ lectures. He's gathering elites in undisclosed locations across Rome with no recordings allowed, where he frames tech regulations as a path to the Antichrist. He even claims that warning about the catastrophic risks helps to bring them about, but his critics say that the logic is backwards. So Peter Thiel is out there now saying all of the people out there who are warning against the technocratic fascistic state, the global surveillance state, the digital ID, the digital currencies linking every American in or every citizen of the globe into mass surveillance and total control grids, the type that Catherine Austin Fitts talks about so often. Those people like myself, people like Patrick Wood, people like Aaron Day, people like Catherine Austin Fitts, some of the best truth tellers out there who are warning about this are actually helping to invite in the Antichrist. This is Peter Thiel's twisted logic. And it's yet another psyop directed at evangelicals. We mentioned Emerald Robinson, who we'll be having in hopefully next week, who has uncovered and has been reporting on another alleged psyop targeting evangelical Christians. And this is coming from Irina Pashkovskaya Sedana, who is a convicted felon, but also known online as Insurrection Barbie. She is a pro-Trump humping bot account with a real person. I mean, I suppose she's bolstered by bots and trolls. And she's posing as an evangelical Christian. She's hosting evangelical Christian spaces on Twitter. And she's trying to convince people, this is crazy. Yeah, she's trying to convince people that, those who oppose the war in Iran, the war in Gaza, and the efforts by the Israeli government to take over and influence our own government, wars forevermore, is actually anti-Christian, or, I mean, it's just a completely twisted version of Christianity. We're going to be talking with Emerald about this next week because, I mean, she just put out an 18-page tweet that was obvious. I'm talking about Insurrection Barbie. She's also a felon, by the way. Her account has shifted identities over time. She used to portray herself as with a Jewish identity. Now she's presenting herself as an evangelical Christian, and she's hosting the theology discussions online in line with what Peter Thiel is doing at the Vatican. And her name is Irina Pashkovsky Sedano. She is a convicted felon, multiple convictions, and they're trying to push her off. I think they're trying to push her off as an actual person, but this is definitely a psyop. We're going to be asking Michael Yan about these type of psyops as well, because he's been watching them. I mean, it's insane, absolutely insane. I don't know how regular people are able to keep up with these headlines, because there are so many competing psyops. And they're setting us up. We're also going to ask Michael Yon about the latest in the war within conservative Inc. Tucker, Fuentes, and Megyn Kelly versus Levin, Loomer, and Shapiro, all around Iran and the U.S. actions in the Middle East, and Donald Trump and his ambitions. I mean, it's all so convoluted and so confusing. And this is why I'm so glad that we have Michael Yon with us today on the SJ show to go through all of this. We're going to bring him in just about 3 minutes. We're also going to discuss a little bit later. I mean, big story. This is the great news. I mean, bad things are coming, okay? Trouble is coming. But we have to resist the fear porn. And there's a balance there that we need to strike in terms of being prepared, being clear-eyed and awake and understanding of what is actually happening here. We have to be able to spot the psyops like that. But, you know, we also need to make sure that we are not falling into a fear cycle where we are so confused, disoriented, fearful, and anxiety-ridden that we aren't doing the things that we need to do from our own corner of the world to not only protect ourselves, but also our communities. And the great news here, and I hope that we can get to it a little bit later with Michael Yon. I posted this in the show notes of the Shannon Joy show. This is from the Wall Street Journal. This is huge. States are now looking to buy precious metals as a hedge against economic turmoil. More states, and this is the byline, are looking to precious metals to guard against what they are calling economic calamity. And it is an overview. Wyoming, West Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, and Utah are all looking to build stockpiles of gold and silver in their states as a hedge against the profligate, horrifying, disgusting, criminal spending that is happening within the federal government in Washington, D.C. So it looks as if we're beginning to see states assert their sovereignty and emancipate in some ways from the circus sideshow that is in Washington, D.C. in a whole host of ways. There's great stuff happening in Texas. There's a lot of good stuff happening in Florida. And this story in the Wall Street Journal regarding what Wyoming is doing is very interesting. We're going to get into that today on the show because I do think that that is the play here. Resist the fear porn and prepare. Keep calm and carry on. Understand what we're up against. Understand that they always lie. Understand that most of the largest platformed figures in America today are engaging in some sort of psychological operation, Hegelian dialectic, to divide us and direct the course of conversations, all of it towards massive fear and putting Americans in the position of depending once again on the federal government to save them. That is what we need to resist from my perspective. But I absolutely want to hear what Michael Yon has to say about all of this. So we are going to take a look at all of those headlines today. We're going to get a sense of what Michael Yon is seeing out there, concerns about energy crisis, oil shortages, rampant inflation, supply lines breaking down, and potential famine, right? What is going on there? We are going to discuss with the amazing Michael Yon in just a moment. So let's keep it tuned right here. We are going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to go straight to Michael Yon. He'll spend the rest of the hour with us as we begin to prepare ourselves for what is coming. We're in it with all of you, and the more information that we can get out, I think the more that people can get prepared. And the more prepared you are, the less you fear. That's the key. So when we come back, we are going to welcome Michael Yon into the Joy Virtual Studio. Keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a minute. I want to invite you. I would love to meet you. I know that we have the website up for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We are meeting live here in Rochester, New York on March 21st for a full day. It is the 2026 fourth annual Summit for Truth and Wellness. I will be there live along with Dr. William Makis, a leader in cancer care using ivermectin, fembendazole, mebendazole. He has treated over 8,000 patients. He just got his medical license in the state of Florida. He is revolutionizing how cancers are treated. He is curing cancers. We're going to be talking about cancer care, prevention with Dr. William Makis, and we're going to be joined by Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. She's going to be coming up from the great state of Texas to be with us live in Rochester, New York, and also, of course, the amazing Sasha Latapova, among other distinguished guests. We are about halfway to sell out on this summit. So we have about 5 weeks before the summit. I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go ahead and get those tickets because I do anticipate a full sellout. We have limited seating. It's going to be a beautiful morning of presentations, and then we are going to break and have a lovely luncheon afterwards. Plenty of time to meet and greet, to meet the speakers, fellowship, collaborate. It's just going to be an absolutely beautiful event. I love hosting it. And of course, all the proceeds, everything that we earn over the expenses to put the summit together will go to Americans for Healthcare Alternatives, an amazing organization that I have been working with for many years. Their mission is to provide an alternative to the medical industrial complex with information, seminars, and they are seeking to build a brick and mortar wellness center right here in Rochester, New York. We want to help them get closer to that goal. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend SchiffGold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used him as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock-solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust SchiffGold, and you can too. Go to schiffgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.schiffgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at SchiffGold. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Marge Parker, I see you on Substack. Thank you for watching and commenting. Mama C 1996, love your comment on the live chat. When they fear losing power, they start by seeming caring and kind. When we see through it, they start to accuse and belittle. Then they snarl and bite, stay the course. Jesus wins. I agree with you, Mama C 1996. They fear losing power, so we need to take it back from them. Do not comply. We're going to bring Michael Yon in just a moment here on the SJ Show. In the break, I was talking with Michael, and this is in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, and he mentioned this. Joe Kent, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, has resigned effective today. This is what he had to say. He was a Trump supporter. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. He has attached a letter of resignation to that. We're going to ask Michael Yon about that. But first, I'm going to bring him in. We're going to show a video that just spoke to me yesterday on Twitter. It was pushed out by Brendan O'Connell, who is a regular contributor on geopolitics and empire. Michael Yon, welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. I am so glad you are here today. I don't think that there is anyone today that I would rather talk to than you. Please follow and support Michael Yon on his Substack page. He is broadcasting from Japan after many months of travel. Michael, you look great. It's great to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Yes, we're back in Japan. Misako and I, we spent more than a month with Catherine Austin Fitz up in Netherlands, and then we went to Hamburg, Germany, which is the biggest harbor in Germany, and it's the third biggest in Europe. Then we went to Sweden. We're studying the same things that you see now in the Middle East, actually. It's the exact same thing. And then we went to Norway for briefings from a maritime expert.
Yep.
Then we went to Denmark, which is where the Danish Strait is. And, Maersk basically owns Denmark. And so Maersk is deeply involved in the Panama Canal. You see, Maersk is one of the first shipping companies that said, we're not going through the Strait of Hormuz. Anyway, that's why we were up in Denmark. When it came to this latest fighting with Iran, the war is ongoing. It's never ended. It's, but I publicly, I published numerous times that I thought the attack would happen between the 22nd of February and the 3rd of March, no later than the 3rd of March. And I thought the most probable attack day would be the 3rd of March. And so Misako and I were up the Danish Strait, and I said, Misako, let's get out of here now. Because
Wow.
I didn't want to get her caught in Dubai or Qatar as we transited. Right. So we took Turkish Air instead. And we made it through, and then the war started behind us. Where did we go? We went straight to Thailand. We're in Japan now, but we went straight to Thailand because Thailand is key in this as well. A lot of people might not realize that. I'll save that for another time. But so we landed in Thailand and did a little bit more research there. And now we're back in Japan. And of course, this is a global thing that's unfolding. Those who followed my work for years completely expected this at the Strait of Hormuz. This is absolutely, just type in my name and Strait of Hormuz and see if I mention it less than 200 or 300 times. Right.
Right. Routes and resources, the straits, the canals, all of the things. It seems as if, Michael, they are closing down, locking down, shutting down global trade systematically, one area at a time. And this is causing great concern, which we'll talk to you about, as to what that means for supplies, shipping, the global economy, but even the movement of necessary fertilizers and necessary products to feed the globe. So we're going to be talking about, all of that today. It seems very coordinated. It seems like there is, behind the scenes, there is a systematic plan that is being rolled out. The fear porn is relentless regarding World War III and nuclear bombs and worldwide famine and all of the things. And you've talked about that. I wanted to start, the headline of today's show, Michael, is the entire Iran war, or I would even expand that to global nuclear war, is the entire narrative a fake news psyop? Is it designed to destabilize the entire globe, to shut down normalized trading and put citizens in a status or a state of lockdown, an energy crisis, which then locks us all down? We're seeing lockdown rhetoric now across the globe. That's a big question that I want to discuss today with you. But to start it off, I was hoping to play for you a video that I pushed out yesterday from a really great site, by the way. I've been enjoying the Substack Geopolitics and Empire. I think they've been putting out some pretty great stuff recently. And Brendan O'Connell had this to say. This was pushed out just yesterday. I want to run it for you, Michael, and then hand the show over to you for analysis there and to see kind of what you think about all of these things. But Annie, let's roll that tape and then we'll get Michael's thoughts on it and we'll expand the conversation from there.
There's all this talk of a third world war, nukes being dropped. Your thoughts?
Not in a million years. It's like Russia. We'll drop a nuke. Now, that might happen in Ukraine, but only because they all agree with it, a tactical nuke to end the war, because they love a good dramatic ending. Two French Brothers will be there with a beautiful high-resolution camera to film it like they were on 9/11. And that's a nice ending to that war. That would not surprise me. And Putin's in deep trouble and he knows it. But all his generals are gone. He'll be in the bag. US will control him. They'll control Xi, like right now they're controlling Xi. And we can keep this Cold War 2.0 thing going. But I think we're getting a bit too hysterical, and Tucker Carlson and all these names are pushing that because you make money. I know we don't even have to go past money. There's good money in fear porn. There's good. Alex Jones made a multi-million-dollar company, $12 to $25 million a year out of fear porn. That's how he made his cash. So keeping anxiety, general anxiety, I believe there might be a COVID, but it will be kept to China and India and Asia in general. That's possible. That's possible. There's not going to be World War III. It's not happening. There will be no terrorist attacks apart from the local idiot who's probably been stirred up by an FBI asset, stirring them up just to throw something at someone, which happened recently. There could be something happen from local idiots, and also local people who are genuinely disgusted with what's going on. Okay, I don't want to call them all idiots. Some of them are not motivated in the right direction, but I understand their anger and their frustration. But as for a big false flag suitcase nuke, it's not happening. It can't happen now. Too many American people, security, special forces serving, they're onto it now, and they can't do it. They'll know exactly who to look at. So I believe everyone's going to be very disappointed. A lot of coffee mugs will be sold, and I beg people to stop worrying and just focus on enjoying themselves. If they are blessed to be in a nice area where it's peaceful, use that time to enjoy your life and also start lobbying politically, because it's all garbage. Remember, keeping people psychologically in a state of anxiety, the great Adam Curtis, hypernormalization, you got to keep them. You got all these artificial enemies and they're all cooperating behind the scenes. It never goes anywhere. Everything goes in a circle. There's no organization. The narratives are crazy. Trump is the troller of trolls. He's a troll. That's why he says crazy stuff. He does it on purpose. It's part of his narrative. It's to keep the madman going. Oh my God, there's a madman in the White House. And this is part of the negotiation process. And above all, to keep the population in an anxious state. And when you keep them in an anxious state, they can't think, they can't plan, they can't think long term. And then you can deliver them with the hero, the Ari Emanuel Israeli intelligence Hollywood agent hero, 20 years Donald Trump's agent, owner of the UFC, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, World Wrestling Federation. Him and his brother Rahm Emanuel handle the left. They can then bring the hero on straight out of Wag the Dog to deliver the American people and the free world from all this anxiety, which includes high housing prices, high rental prices, inflation, which is huge. And I mean, if they are that ignorant about what's going on, I can't believe it. But someone said, no, Brendan, they are that ignorant, that delusional. The Dow's at 50,000. It's like, what planet are these people from? People can't afford rent.
All right, Michael Yon. Now, he was pretty provocative. That was, that was Brendan O'Connell. He's a regular contributor on Geopolitics and Empire. And he is really tamping back. I mean, he's identifying what I'm sensing, which is some of the fear porn. He's basically saying that a lot of this is manufactured. And similarly, like to the way the pandemic was manufactured in 2020, all moving us towards a predetermined outcome that is not good for anyone. Now, I think that there might be a little more pain than what he is describing there. I wouldn't advise people to sit back and enjoy their lives because I think things are coming. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I thought that was a very definitive statement, and there are parts of that that really resonated with me. Your thoughts?
Partly accurate and partly way off.
Okay.
I mean, to the point where it's material. And
okay.
The fact is, they will use the fear porn. We all know that. What somebody was sharing a video earlier today called "Taxes to Defeat the Axis" from 1941, right? Getting people to pay, fill out your income tax forms to go fight the Nazis and that sort of thing. So
Amazing.
I mean, this fear porn has been there since the beginning. We all know that, right? But at the same time, this is quite real. This is quite kinetic. This is really an energy shortage. This is really the first. I've warned about the Strait of Hormuz literally hundreds of times. That what's unfolding now is exactly what I've warned about explicitly hundreds of times. And notice, by the way, I don't have any sponsors. I I don't accept any advertisement just so that I can say this without, there's nobody pulling my strings. So this is about I've warned since 2020 that we are chugging towards global famines, right? In service now to obvious population reduction, like the death jabs. The death jabs are not fear porn. Those are actual weapons that are killing millions of people. Now, the COVID was fear porn to get you to take the jabs, but the jab was a weapon. You're dead. A lot of people are dead that took it, right?
That's why I wanted to have this conversation, Michael, because I think that there is a balance there. I don't disagree with you that a real energy shortage is coming. It's very clear that's what they want to do, and a food shortage, but it's contrived. It's not real and natural. It is created by the people who want to put us in a desperate situation so that they can roll in the solution, which would be the jabs. My point being, the pandemic was real in the sense that all the governments said that it was real, and all the governments and people reacted as if it was real, but it was largely a construct. The whole point of the pandemic was to roll in the countermeasures, which were the bioweapons, the shots, and the lockdowns, the transfer of wealth, trillions of dollars in transfer of wealth during the global lockdowns, from small, medium-sized businesses to massive billion-dollar corporations. So I'm seeing themes, I like you said, I think he was a little bit too blasé and flippant about what is coming. But I certainly see the themes that we saw in March of 2020. Your thoughts?
Well, again, I've been warning about this on the ground. Like, I'm out in the Darien Gap, and I'm going to places like Morocco and Colombia and Panama and Mexico, and looking at these things in dozens of countries. The food shortages to the point of famine clearly are coming, right? And so what will that create? That will create human osmotic pressure, the push and the pull of migration, invasion, right? So that's quite real, right? These famines are coming. And again, I've been warning for 6 years.
Can you expand on famines? Like, what does that look like? Because when you say, and I've heard Catherine Austin Fitts talk about this, when you say global famine is coming, what does that mean? What does that look like to a person living in suburban United States of America in the state of Illinois? Are they going to starve to death?
Possibly. I mean, people that are, and it doesn't mean the whole world's going to go into famine and everybody's going to starve to death, but it's very clear that food is a major weapon, and it always has been since, I don't know, biblical times, right? I mean, I'm in my personal library here. This is not a green screen backdrop. This is my war library, actually, and it's quite extensive. This is a tiny part of it. There's not a single book here on guns or ships or airplanes. It's all about food. It's all about demographic warfare. It's all about psychological operations, intoxicants, music warfare, these sorts of things, financial warfare. Catherine Austin Fitts, Masako, my wife and I just spent more than a month with Catherine in Netherlands. In fact, her door was like, 10 feet from my door, right? From our door. And so we spent a lot of time with her. Catherine has been warning for years about how these contrivances will drive us into digital money, right? And the total control system, and the control grid that she warns that Trump has been installed to push people into. This is part of that, right? And so this is all one comprehensive war. It didn't start under Trump. It started before any of us were born. It started before our grandparents were born, right? It started before our great grandparents were born. And so what I'm getting to is, let's talk about that for a minute. This guy, let's see, I put the book up on the shelf. Let me grab it. Here. This guy, here's an example. This guy, Netanyahu, that's Benjamin Netanyahu. That's the father of the current Netanyahu, right?
Okay.
His name was actually Meliakovsky, right? And so their name was Meliakovsky. It was not Netanyahu. The current missing prime minister of Israel, his name was Meliakovsky. This is his father, Benzion, not Benjamin. In the 1920s, he started calling himself Netanyahu. This guy was born in Warsaw, Poland. He's Polish. He's a white guy, right? And his grandfather was a rabbi in Russia. He was born in Russia. So these guys, they pretend that they're the big Semites and all that stuff, but in fact, they're chameleons. They're white dudes that change their, there's a guy down in Argentina named Mele. His name was Meliakovsky. Same name, right? Coincidence, huh? So this is all part of a intergenerational. It's not just, Israel and all that's just a component of it. It's just one component. It's not the thing. It's not the center of the universe. It's just another component. It happens to be center stage at the moment, right? And so what I'm getting to is Trump is also part of that. Trump was raised to do this. He didn't come from out of the blue and become president of the United States. He was raised to do this, right? Like planted like a seed since childbirth, right?
Yeah.
Like Obama. Obama didn't come from out of the blue. I've been to a school in Jakarta a couple times, by the way. It's Beverly Hills of Jakarta, right? It's the most, anyway, in Indonesia. But what I'm getting to is this is a big plan. It's older than any of us alive. It's older than our great grandparents, right? So to understand this, you have to spend years studying how this thing works to get a feel for the pulse and the direction, right? So what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz now and whatnot, this is part of a population reduction. The death jabs are part of that population reduction. This is, the fertilizer that's not flowing through the Strait of Hormuz right now. This is a very big deal. This will lead to probably in 2027 with severe food shortages, right? That'll create HOP, human osmotic pressure. You'll see places like the Darien Gap, where I spent so much time down in Panama and Colombia. You'll see places like that open up again, right? And they'll be flooding into the United States, flooding into Europe. Europe's destroyed. I spent 7 years in Europe, and we were just there again for another 4 months, right? Or 3 months, and another month in Taiwan and Thailand. But what I'm getting to is this is global. It's nothing new. And you're about to see a population reduction. That is not hyperbole. That's quite real. And then they'll use that to put us in that control grid. They'll use that fear.
Well, I agree. I agree with you there. And to your point, 50% of global fertilizer, by the way, goes through the Straits of Hormuz. Thank you, Silver Country, for that comment on the live chat. They certainly are going after global supply lines, very critical global supply lines, and using World War III to shut them down. Right? I think when you talk about this larger global plan, Netanyahu, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, these families that work together, power centers, oligarchs. To your point, Michael, this is the history of the world. If I go back and I read the Old Testament and the New Testament, and we look back 5,000 years of human history, I mean, this happens over and over and over again. My question, however, though, I mean, and I guess where I'm going with this is that, yes, the megalomaniac control freak lunatics always want to take everything. They always want to populate. They always want to shut us down, lock us up, and control us with whatever their new fangled ideas are. Right now we have AI and Peter Thiel's technocratic police state that he would like to deploy across the world. But there is always a population of people who can resist that, who can not be afraid, who can do things from the bottom up to advocate for themselves and their own communities, who can not take the jabs, not take the digital ID, stock up on cash, gold and silver, make sure that they have supply lines and local resources for food. Like, there are a million things that people can do when they're not in a state of fear. And that's why, I think we have to be careful, Michael, with all of because then people just don't believe you. You know what I mean? Like, every headline is insane. It's insane. They're going to drop nuclear bombs all over the U.S. They're going to be terror attacks all over the U.S. We're going to have crazy weather storms and earthquakes and fires, and everyone's going to die. And it's like, people can't take that too much. Like, we have to give them, you have to be able to assess what is really a risk. And I learned this from COVID. Because COVID, everyone was screaming at me for 6 months. We're all going to die. Rush Limbaugh was screaming at me. Tucker Carlson was begging Trump to shut down. Remember when Tucker Carlson drove down to Mar-a-Lago to convince Donald Trump to shut down? Like, everyone was convincing everyone else that the entire world was ending. And at the end of the day, the real weapon was the government solution. It was the shot. It wasn't the pandemic. It wasn't COVID-19. It wasn't your neighbor who wasn't wearing a mask. It was the shots. So I think we should focus on the mitigation and their solutions more than all of the things that could go wrong, or else everyone's going to stick their head in the ground like an ostrich, curl up into the fetal position and not do anything. Your thoughts?
Right. You know, all of our families have been through a lot. Everybody watching this, there is zero exception. All of our families have been through a lot of war, a lot of pandemic, a lot of famine. Our whole family tree, we come from a line of survivors.
That's
Everybody.
right.
There is no exception, right? And it will be an extensive history throughout our family trees of that, right?
Right.
And so we're still here and we're still happy. But that also means, you know, I'm from Florida. When a hurricane's coming, you get ready for it, right?
That's right. Right.
The hurricane's not fake. There are
Right.
people that, you know, will
The
fearport
hurricane's
the
real.
hurricanes. It will blow you away, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
and this war is quite real. It's real.
Yeah.
It's contrived. It was made, but that it's contrived does not make it not real. You know,
Right.
that I mean, and so the kinetics are real. Cutting off the fertilizer is real. And again, this is something I have specifically warned about for years now. About when Strait of Hormuz gets closed, keep your eye on, of course, Panama Canal. Keep your eye on Danish Straits. Turkish Straits is a big one as well, and obviously Suez and the rest of the like Strait of Malacca is a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And over near Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, right? That's a huge deal. So these are easy to close, you know, like Strait of Gibraltar, just basically by saying, hey, there's sea mines out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually have to do anything. You see Israel now, you know, shaking the sword at Turkey, right? And you know, of course, a huge amount of fertilizer comes through from Ukraine and Russia through the Turkish Straits, you know, the Bosphorus, right there at Turkey,
Yeah.
right? And you know, it's easy to close that with. In any case, what I'm getting to is this is quite real, but that doesn't mean that you still have to keep your wits about you, right?
Right.
You know, and not walk into their ambush. Now, Catherine Austin Fitts, she'll say all the time, use cash. Like yesterday, I used cash just because her voice is ringing in my head, right? You know, so
Right.
Catherine, should I use card or cash? Oh, here's
Yeah.
Catherine. That little voice is
Right.
yelling at me, use cash. So,
Right.
you know, and because, you know, and she's right. You know, when she makes her argument and lays out the fact pattern, it's quite clearly true. The more we use cash, the less ability they have to just instantly shift over to card. Here in Japan,
Right.
they use cash quite a lot. There
Sure.
are some places in Japan now that don't accept cash, but you know, one thing that you can do is just don't do business there, and that
Yeah.
forces them back to cash, right?
Absolutely. I think that's going to be incredibly important. And I think that more and more people will move into cash as the instability ramps up. And you're going to, you know, personally, Michael, I see hyper localization as something that could be very real in the next 3 to 5 years. And we're seeing that. I mean, this piece from the Wall Street Journal, I don't want to go into it right now because we'll go to break before we talk about this. Well, maybe we can. You know, states are now buying precious metals to hedge against economic turmoil. So we are looking at Wyoming, Utah, West Virginia, Tennessee, and Georgia. We've seen Florida pass legislation to make gold and silver legal tender. We've seen Florida move to create state sovereign bank. We've seen some action in Texas as well. And I know that Catherine Austin Fitts has been working on legislation, not only in Tennessee, but legislation created for states across the country to essentially emancipate themselves financially from the federal government and prepare for their own populations to survive whatever is coming. If they can do it with banks and gold and silver and cash, Michael, we can certainly build supply lines. We can certainly figure out how to raise food and ship it to people in the country. Like, I think that if we forget about what's happening, or not forget about, but you know, stop paying attention to the circus sideshow in Washington, D.C. and the crazy people running things and get down to the business of getting our states ready for this, whether it's energy, food, finance, gold, silver, cash. Like, that's the play. Am I wrong here? I mean, I've been singing this tune for 12 years. But for the first time, it looks very real to me, as if real people might actually say, you know what, I think this is the only solution. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Martinson called me up yesterday. We talked for quite a while. I mean, about this. He's been preparing for years. People like Matt Smith, he moved down to Uruguay and got a cattle ranch years ago. I mean, growing
Right.
your own food is one of the resilient methods. You know, I grew up working on my grandparents' garden in the back. I mean, it was enough to feed a considerable amount of the food that we used, actually. And so, I mean, what I'm getting to is these old methods of just raising some of your own food. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
These things do add up. Uh, we are going to see a population reduction. That's clear. We're clearly going to see a lot of more uh, demographic change because people like Trump, he's not about closed borders. He is about open borders. He's just doing it stealthily. He's left the entire architecture in place, like the IOM, United Nations. They're all in place, right?
Yep.
He's handed out visas and that sort of thing. They have not dismantled these things. I keep an eye on them, right?
Yeah.
Misako and I, when we just left Denmark to avoid the war, we flew through Istanbul. We flew through Turkey to avoid Qatar and Dubai. What did we see? Turkey is a main hub for the people invading United States and Canada. There was a bunch of people with IOM, International Organization for Migration. That's the main engine of the invasions. We saw a bunch of people with their little blue tote bags. I videotaped them. I put them on X. They were flying to Vancouver. They were going to Canada, right? So the invasions are ongoing. They haven't ended, right? And so I mean, that's still ongoing throughout Europe, here in Japan. Even often people say, well, at least Japan won't do it. That's false. That's flatly false. And because the Japanese are under the same attack that we are, right? In fact, the Japanese are in an uproar yesterday because one of their latest members of parliament, he ran on a platform of keeping the borders closed, got in there, boom, immediately is like, open the borders, right? So, I mean,
Wow.
these Trojan horses are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But actually, they radiate in advance. If you pay attention to the signals, it's not like they're hidden. It's not like Trump. The days, often people say you've turned your back on Trump. And I reiterate, the number of days that I've supported Donald Trump remains at zero. Went zero, right? Zero, right?
Same.
When Newt Gingrich called me up, like, I don't know, 12 years ago or 10 years ago, or probably 10 or 11 years ago, he called me up in my office and he was trying to drum up support for Trump. And I'm like, I'm not going to vote for a Clinton, obviously, but you got to have somebody better than that guy. There's
That's
no
right.
way I'm voting for that. There's no way I'm going to support that guy, right?
Right.
And I mean, it would be insane because I can see him. How to read people. One is you can see people that are very similar to you, and you can see your opposite, right? And I can see Trump. I can see Trump's X-ray up on the board because he's my opposite. He is my actual opposite. So he pops off the page to me. So, how have I been so accurate at predicting Trump? I just figure out what would I do, and I pick the opposite, and that's what he does. It's highly predictive. It's a paradigm that actually has turned out to be very useful. Because I'm always trying to develop a paradigm that works, and I'll experiment with it. If it doesn't work, I'll throw it out or tweak it. But, I just imagine what I would do, pick the opposite. That's what he does. Go to war with Iran. He is a puppet he is a Zionist. When I first started saying that he's a Zionist, people are like, oh, you can't say that, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let me reiterate. Trump's a Zionist. Now he admits to it, right? He does not work on behalf of the United States. He is a traitor, straight up. Joe Kent just resigned, right?
Yes.
And so
what are your thoughts on that, by the way? Joe Kent, he is the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He resigned yesterday, today, with an official letter saying, I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I was wondering why Joe worked for him to begin with. You know what I mean? He's on a private chat that I set up years ago with key people, some of whom some of those names you'll definitely know. And so I'm going to ask Joe when we get offline. But at the end of the day, there is a revolt going on around Trump. There is a serious revolt. I'm getting that from multiple directions. And
yes.
If you're sticking with Trump now, like Joe needed to leave Trump. If you want to keep traveling overseas, you're facing, being arrested somewhere, right? This is a big deal. there are obvious war crimes being committed, right? Like genocide. Gaza is absolute genocide. Israel just yesterday and the day before threatened to genocide Lebanon the same. The war that they've started with Iran, the attacks that they've done are absolutely illegal. They're absolutely war crimes, right? You could absolutely be arrested and be capital punishment. I mean, this is a big deal. We're not just talking about life in prison. We're also talking about people hunting you down forever, like the Iranians may do, like others may do, right? Like, the Zionists been hunting Nazis speaking of Zionists and Nazis, they've been working together since day one. You know what I mean? Zionists and Nazis were best buddies.
Insane.
They were very close. This is a good book.
Well, Michael, let's talk about that. I have endless critique for Tucker Carlson. Endless critique. Okay, the guy, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. But Donald Trump threatening to arrest him and charge journalists with treason, which is a crime punishable by death in the United States of America, for speaking out against the policies of the Trump administration and the war waging by the Trump administration, made me sit up straight. That was absolutely chilling. I think it's not only clearly an attack on Tucker Carlson, but also every journalist in America, every independent researcher and commentator, anyone who dares to stand up and speak out against the United States government and the policies of the United States government. Your thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, it's hard to tell how much of this is staged. I don't know.
Right.
Because this is that whole architecture is one that, I've been on Tucker Carlson's show, by the way, right?
Yeah.
And but that whole ecosystem, like I go after his buddy Joe Rogan on a regular basis.
All the time, deservedly.
I'm probably one of the only people on planet Earth who has openly denied any possibility of going on Joe Rogan's show. I've been multiple times. People are like, I can get you on Joe Rogan. I'm like, I'm not going on Joe Rogan's show. And then, of course, people try to do the math for me. Don't you understand? You can reach a big audience. We already reach a big audience, right? Why do I want to go on a dope head? That guy is a dope head. Yeah. Why would you go on a dope head show? That's clearly an enemy operation. People that are pushing our young people to do dope, that is an actual enemy, right? A material enemy.
Interesting.
Right? And he is actually... they're always talking about the best mushrooms or whatever drugs to do. And,
disgusting. That's gross.
Getting drunk on the show, smoking dope on the show. Doper, that's why I call him Doper Joe. Now, and I know Tucker gets upset because I've gone after his buddy. It turned out the light, Doper Joe, right? And he's told me, Joe's my friend. I'm like, that's fine. You're friends with a guy who's an enemy of the United States, right? And so, I mean, that's straight up. I mean, bottom line. And so what to make of that? I'm trying to reconcile this equation so that something equals something and it balances, right? And being friends with people that are clear enemies of the United States, that's of concern to me, right?
Right. I can understand being friends because you don't want to off friends, but platforming them, pushing them out, adopting their narratives, aiding and abetting them in the public space, I wouldn't do that at all. Friendship is a little different, but I think you do have a responsibility if you have a platform to be a good steward of it, right? And in terms of Joe Rogan, and it's one of the reasons I've always critiqued Joe Rogan myself. I agree with you 100%. Not only is he pushing drugs on young populations, not only is he normalizing drunkenness and being high all day, he's also pushing weird narratives and also playing within the framework of the dialectic of, it used to be left versus right. Now it's conservative versus conservative. You know what I mean? Like let's talk about that when we get back, because it is so hard to figure out what the heck is going on, Michael. Like there are so many competing narratives and all of the fights out there. I mean, we have the doomsday headlines, then we have the infighting between Con Inc., conservative media. I call them Bizarro Con as well. All of these competing narratives, and it's just hard to make sense of all of it. this is why I like to distill. This is why I like to, keep calm, carry on, don't worry so much about it. Get busy in your own life, taking care of yourself and your family, plant your gardens, build your house, secure, your local area, because the stuff that's going on up there, a part of me feels as if it's a good sign, like they're lashing out, they're throwing out one crazy headline after another and doing everything they can. It's like a frenzy. It makes me believe that they might be backed into a corner. That their psyops aren't working as well as they used to, and now they have to accelerate them and make them crazier and crazier and crazier. And so, in that sense, it gives me a little bit of peace and hope. But on the other hand, it's hard to navigate it. So when we come back, can we talk about that?
Sure.
The competing psyops and the competing narratives. We are going to return in just a moment. Quick commercial break. Then we'll have another 30 minutes with Michael Yon to talk about navigating through psychological manipulations, covert operations, and psyops. I think that's the name of the game for regular people. If you're trying to figure out what's going on and trying to survive, that's step number one. Michael Yon's an expert in that. We'll be back with Michael in just a minute right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank one of my longtime friends, associates, my financial advisor, and a beloved sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. Don Polano, as many of you know, was the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser almost 12 years ago, and he's been with us ever since. I trust Don Polano. He manages some of my assets and my retirement fund, and he's offering his services to all of you. He can take clients anywhere in the country and even across the globe over at PCM and Associates. And as you guys know, it is so important today. There's so much volatility and chaos. You need a human being, a person that you trust, and a person that shares your values. And that's Don Polano at PCM and Associates. So if you are looking for someone to help you manage your retirement or have investment advice, please consider calling Don Polano over at PCM Associates. His number, 1-800-536-1368. That's 1-800-536-1368. And of course, you can go to PCMPolano.com. That is PCMPolano.com to learn about all of his services and get in contact with his team. Again, so thankful for Don Polano at PCM and Associates. And I think that you are really going to appreciate his services. So that number again, 1-800-536-1368 for a financial advisor that you can trust. At 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy Show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Mr. Worthless Eater on the Rumble chat with the comment of the day. I don't trust Joe Rogan. He got a $100 million contract. When Shannon gets a $100 million contract, I won't trust her either. That's very smart with Mr. Worthless Eater. This is why I say we have the most brilliant chatters on the Rumble live chat. Yes, listen, there's nothing wrong with making a little bit of money, but at times it becomes absurd and obscene and ridiculous, doesn't make any sense. And usually that should be your indication that there's a little something else going on. Maybe it's a little bit of the razzle dazzle. Michael Yon is with us today to talk about the psyop, to talk about the competing narratives, the dialectics, the side fights. I mean, there's just so much going on. We're pummeled with so many psyops. One recent one, Michael Yon, Bibi Netanyahu is actually dead. That's what everyone is saying. After a round of strikes over the weekend, people are speculating that all of the recent appearance of Bibi Netanyahu are actually AI and that he is dead as a doornail. What are your thoughts on that?
The AI that I mean, the videos that I've seen on his channel, like a couple nights ago, I was getting ready to go to bed and I checked Netanyahu's channel, and that was a clear AI video. You didn't need some great analysis to even see through
Right.
that one.
Are they
Then
just trolling us though? Can't you see him being actually alive, but they just want to troll everyone and put out these ridiculous video? I mean, that's how complex and ridiculous everything is today.
Right. Now I don't see this as a 1-0 of him being dead or alive or wounded, right? He could be there could be another possibility, and I'll say this based on actual experience, right? He could be alive, he could be captured, right? He
Oh,
could be physically captured. He could have been hooded up and taken away, right? Now, if he was captured, it was probably an inside job, people immediately around him. Now, this is normal. This is a normal type of activity, right? I'll give you an example.
people are crazy.
No, I mean it's normal to capture people and pretend they're killed, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
absolutely normal. I've been there when it happens, right? I mean, it's like, I mean, there, you know what I mean? It's like, it's,
Well,
I mean,
expand.
this
When
is,
were you there? I'm like dying to
well,
know now.
I was a war correspondent, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so, right, and I did quite a lot of war, right? And I was
Mhm.
out with, interesting people. And I know interesting people. I was in special forces, and I mean, the people that I hang out with are interesting people. And here's an example. In Iraq in about 2006, I was in Iraq, but I wasn't there for this thing that happened. But Zarqawi was the alleged leader of Al Qaeda in Iraq, right? He's from
Yep.
Jordan. He's a Jordanian guy. So somehow they figured out he was in this safe house near Bakuba. So what did our guys do? They dropped 2 bombs near him, on not to kill him, but tried to stun him, right? And then to go in and get him, right, alive, hopefully stunned and hopefully wipe out some of his security. And they did. Boom, boom. Dropped 2 bombs, small bombs near him. Went in there quickly and got him. I talked with one of the medics. The medic told me he actually died. Of course, the medic could have been telling me that because they got him and they don't want, you know what I mean? That could have been part of the plan. This special
Right.
operations, but what here as an example, Green Berets in Vietnam, obviously that's before my time. I heard these stories, because I was Green Beret, so I would hear the stories from the old guys. They would do ambushes sometimes with using C4 or TNT, right? But with no frags, not claymore mines or anything. They would just put explosives near the path where they wanted to capture somebody.
Right.
Boom, tack it off and and they'd go around and scarf up the people who are still flopping around, right? So because they're worth a lot more alive sometimes. Now,
Right.
as an example, here I'll give you an example from an actual operation from a unit that I was with in Mosul in Iraq in 2005. I was not on this mission, but it was the 124th Infantry Battalion, the most decorated battalion in the entire war. The commander was Eric Kurilla, who became the CENTCOM commander, who recently was attacking Iran, right? He got shot right in front of me one day, right? Like 3
Hey.
times, right?
Wow.
Eric Kurilla, read Gates of Fire. You can see the photos I was taking when he got shot. It broke his femur in half. Anyway, I was with this unit, 173 casualties in total. I was with the Deuce 4 for 5 months. So I heard a story or two and I saw a story or two. This mission I was not on, but I was with them. One day there was a SIGINT hit, signals intelligence, of a phone that was in a mosque. So as I recall, it was Friday prayers. And so, but I don't recall specifically. I'd have to look at the things that I've published over time. You can
It's all
tell
right. Go ahead.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so they go the striker vehicles. That's a type of vehicle. It has 8 tires and it has a ramp down the back. So I was in those for about a year actually in the strikers. Those striker vehicles came and they went around the mosque. They didn't go inside. They just kind of parked around like, hey, we're just in the neighborhood. And then when that phone was still in the mosque. And then when the prayers ended, people left the mosque and they kind of gently channelized the U.S. soldiers from the Deuce 4, the 124th Infantry Battalion, incredible unit. They just channelized the people leaving the mosque down this sidewalk. And there was we have equipment. You can pick them up from the air by airplanes or using their own cell phone towers, or with like a rucksack that you carry can have equipment for tracking the phones, right? So when the guy walked by with the phone, a soldier walked by a soldier, the soldier gave the signal, that's him. This is the guy. So they invited him around the corner, just, oh, can you step up? Just kind of not pushed him, but you know what I mean? Kind of led him around the corner, boom, threw him in the back of the vehicle.
And they kidnapped him.
Hood goes on. Now, what happened? Now, this is important. What comes next is important, right?
Okay.
What comes next? I was many times present when we captured people and with different units, and the commanders often would say, please don't publish this because they're going to exploit it. They catch you with your phone, boom. I don't care what your password is. They're going to get in your phone, boom, right there, right? They start exploiting that network. They start then, I wrote a dispatch in 2005 called cascading raids, right? In other words, you catch one fish, you exploit it, you start what you want is for the enemy to think that person was either killed or he's just missing.
Right. But who's the enemy though? But who is the enemy? Like who would kidnap BB? So BB's not dead. I mean, it doesn't matter. Right.
People around him. People around him. Now he's worth 1,000 times more alive than he is dead. His son has disappeared. Now, let me lay out the fact pattern, right? This is normal business in special operations. Absolutely normal.
I know. Well, this is like a psyop wrapped in propaganda, wrapped in a military operation. And we don't even know who the enemies are. So I'm like,
but
doesn't matter.
It's normal. Wait, hold on. Let me lay out the fact pattern. It's normal to do this and pretend that somebody is dead or missing. That's absolutely normal, right?
Right.
It's like delivering a FedEx package, right?
Right.
So another thing that's normal is you get as much of their network as possible. His son has disappeared, right? His son in Florida has not been tweeting. He was tweeting constantly, right?
Okay.
And so he's vanished. Other people in Netanyahu's network have vanished. Where did they all go to, right? Were they all captured? That's possible. Now, how much is Netanyahu and his network worth alive? First of all, the first thing you're going to do is if somebody captured him, and it could be somebody in his own network, probably was, if it happened, the first thing they're going to do is squeeze him for they're going to do counterintelligence. What assets do you have in our network, right? And they're going to be scarfing those guys up immediately. After they root out the network that Netanyahu would have in their network, which would happen now, that's why you want to keep this secret. If somebody knew that they captured him, the people they're gonna vanish, right?
Yeah, but my question is, who are they? I mean, I'm trying to take all of this, Michael, and relate it back to normal people living in houses in the U.S. and trying to figure things out.
I don't know who they would be, but he has a lot of enemies, and Zionists are famous for killing each other. Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated, right?
Okay, now that would be great. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Because if what you're saying is that we could, all of us little people down here, just dangling in the breeze as these powerful families, mafia families, powerful oligarchs, banksters, Zionists, whatever. If they're in the phase of this where they're all offing each other, I'd say that's a really good thing for regular people. Your thoughts?
Zionists are famous for killing each other. They do it
Let's
regularly.
go.
Jews and Zionists kill each other regularly.
Okay.
They've been. I think the first assassination that Zionists did, they killed a Dutch Jew in the 1800s. Right? I mean,
horrible.
Jews and Jews kill each other. Zionists and Zionists kill each other. Zionists and Jews kill each other. They overlap.
Christians, Muslims,
Christian Zionists. They Christians do it as well, right? And so Buddhists, I mean, that's just normal. But what I'm getting
the Buddhists don't kill each other. They're the peace people, aren't they, Michael?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I've lived in Buddhist countries for years, right?
I
thought
the Buddhists were just
not as much
zen.
As we do. Not as much as we do. They don't do it as much as we do,
gosh.
but they absolutely do it.
Calgon, take me away right now. Calgon, take me away.
Yeah. And so, and I mean, I've been in so many firefights with Buddhists. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, but the point, I mean, lethal, right? And so, and I published.
Oh, you're too much. You're killing me.
What I'm getting to is the idea that he's been captured is not anybody in special operations. I mean, serious special operations, like, oh, yep, that could be, and it's 50-50, flip a coin, right? And now keep in mind.
Now that does though counter the narrative though, doesn't it, of Israeli strength? Like they're going to take over everything in the Middle East and the US is going to, Trump is out there beating his chest. I'm going to take Cuba. I'm going to take Venezuela. We're going to take Greenland. We're going to go in and, take over all of the Middle East and build Trump towers in Gaza. And it's going to be great. We're going to build back better in Iran. I mean, the fact that the enemy or whoever it is able to smuggle in or whatever, either kill or kidnap Bibi really drives a stake into the heart of that narrative, doesn't it?
Look at Joe Kent just resigned, right? There's a whole revolt going on around Trump and in Israel, right? I mean, what I'm getting to is the fact that Netanyahu has disappeared doesn't have anything. It's non sequitur to then guess that he's been dead. Maybe he is, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's been hooded up and he's in a dental chair somewhere right now, right? And so what I'm getting to is the first thing that they're going to do, if somebody did hood him up and took him and took his son and took others, the first thing they're going to do is counterintelligence. They're going to squeeze them for who do you have in our network, and because they're going to get them, then they'll be in the basement with him or separate cells. And then they're going to figure out who do you have in these foreign who do you have at BIS, at Bank of International Settlements? Who do you have in the City of London? Who do you have in the White House? Who do you have in Russia? Who do you have? If somebody that works at BIS might be on vacation in Thailand right now, and suddenly Netanyahu's like, well, that's my contact. Boom, he got hooded up. Now he's off on
That's a Bank of International Settlements, right? Bank of International Settlements.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I'm getting to is the people that are in their networks all over the world, they might go on vacation somewhere to Costa Rica or something. Boom, they get scarfed up, right? I mean, that's
from your lips to God's ears, Michael Yon. From your lips, like, let them take each other out, please.
It'll be a silent war. If he's still alive, he will be talking, right? He will notice his son has disappeared. Other people in his network have disappeared.
Just wild.
If you start to see Israelis and others just disappear from somewhere, it could be a coincidence.
Oh my gosh.
It could be part of that, right? Unknown.
Right. The live chat agrees with you, Michael Yon. I see you, Hells Bay, who says, I think Joe Kent resigning is a much bigger deal than the faux right-wing media realizes. Brasky54 says this, yes, Joe Kent sending a loud message about Trump's cluster F of a war, also about what he thinks of Trump's leadership and the fact that he will not listen to facts. Guitar Lily says, Bibi is back in his hometown of Philadelphia. But no.
Because he went to high school in Philadelphia. Yeah.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
I mean, his not Bibi. His name, remember, that guy, his name is Maliakovsky. They changed it in the 1920s to Netanyahu. It's a lie. He changed his skin like snakes do, right? I mean, he's a white guy. They always throw the anti-Semite thing on you. I had a bunch of Zionists attacking me the other day. All of them are whiter than I am. So I started calling him white boy. I'm like, hey, white boy. One of them is that David Rosenberg guy, the financial analyst up in Canada. He threatened to turn me into the secret police, the DHS.
No way.
So I published it and put it on my X. I'm like, here, let's go. Let's do it publicly. And I started calling him and his Goldberg buddy. One of them's name's Goldberg. I started just calling them white boys. You're not Semites. You're whiter than I am.
I love that so much.
I mean, look at your photos. You're white boys. You're from Russia. You're from Warsaw. You're from other places, but you are not them. You're a fake. You're there. You're an absolute fake, and everybody knows it, right?
Listen, yeah, and we've gone over what that means. We won't go into it today because it's it's a whole other topic. But on that vein, though, this will be a good actual entree. Speaking of psyops wrapped in propaganda, wrapped in military operations, wrapped in faux pandemics and faux war. I mean, all of the chaos. You have the infighting now between kind of the Tucker, Fuentes, Megyn Kelly faction of the right. Now, let's set this up. All of these people loved them some Donald Trump in 2024, right? So they all use their platforms, millions and millions and millions of viewers and listeners and readers to shove down our throats Donald Trump as the candidate to run for the 2020 for presidential election. They all supported him. They were all behind him. Now we have a whole faction peeling off, Joe Kent included, if we're going to be honest.
I just messaged to Joe Kent. I just said, well done. I just sent it to him.
Well, good for him. Yeah. Good for him. Yeah. I don't know how he got it wrong for the first 12 years, but okay, we'll take anyone we can get at this point. But so all of these, Brett Weinstein is, crying about how he got everything wrong and people need to leave him alone, this and that. But now,
leave Brett alone? Is that what he's saying?
I
took Brett to the Darien Gap, by the way.
Yeah. Brett Weinstein is upset because people are challenging him now that he's coming out against Trump. People are challenging him as an intellectual and intelligent man who is very, very central in the resistance against COVID lockdowns and the rollout of the poison shots and the forcing of poison shots onto people. Actually, Brett wanted lockdowns at first, but then he changed his mind, which is fine. But, people are saying very logically, like, you're smart. How can you be so dumb? Frankly, how can you be so dumb? Like, why would you reelect or push to reelect the guy who did it in the first place? It makes no sense. It never made any sense. And Trump loves his bioweapons. So why did all of our people, Michael Young, get behind a guy who poisoned millions of Americans and then bragged about it again, then doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on it? Like, that's the central question to Tucker and Megyn and Brett and all of the people. But now what you're seeing, like, the people seeing the light are battling with Mark Levin and Laura Loomer and Ben Shapiro, who are all behind the kind of Trump BB cabal that is waging the global war. It's another kind of I'm tending to think that it's manipulated. It's a bit of theater, but I'm wondering what you think about that, because it does center on the charges of anti-Semitism. That's the whole thing. Like, even though I disagreed with Tucker and Megyn Kelly and Brett about the election of Trump, at the same time, right now, where they are, Marjorie Taylor Greene included, is the truth space, at least from my perspective. So what do you make of that divide? And again, to the larger point that you just made about just MAGA absolutely crumbling, like support crumbling for Trump right now. What do you make of all of it?
Well, I'm about as surprised as I am about the Strait of Hormuz closing. Zero, right?
Not surprising.
I've been talking about this since before the first election. That guy's a fraud. He's a clear fraud. And then as time evolved, I'm like, not only is he a fraud, he's a traitor. And
yes, he is.
And remember, cowards are natural traitors, by the way. And people that are afraid, or they just are deeply desirous of adulation and attention, they're always going to saddle up to power, right? And as soon as that power starts to wane, they're going to abandon ship. So you got to keep that in mind. The power of Trump is waning. So now you're going to see people abandoning ship. So, things could be organic, or people could actually just be doing the math, right? I think a lot of people are starting to do the math on standing beside Zionists. That ship is crumbling. It's clearly crumbling. Nobody cares about being called anti-Semite or anti-Zionist anymore. Nobody cares. That ship has sailed. It doesn't work anymore. The magic wand is broken. It's crackling in the fireplace.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if they're setting us. That's why I'm wondering, though, if they're setting us up for the replacement. If they got the memo 6 months ago that Donald Trump is out and JD Vance is in, right? So, or
clearly Trump is out.
Yeah, Trump is out.
So they need the distance, right?
Yeah. So now these people, like, so do you think that Tucker and Megyn Kelly and Fuentes are just designed, like, it's this new America? MAGA's dead. Trump is out. We now need America first, and the next chosen presidential candidate, which would be, it looks to me to be JD Vance, who is worse, in my opinion, than any other candidate that we've had. I mean, it's just another puppet, but I mean, he is a full-scale techno-fascist. He is a tech fascist created by Peter Thiel. I find very, very disturbing. Your thoughts on that? But do you think that this is all one big kabuki theater, the infighting between Mark Levin and Megyn Kelly, to kind of break the movement and then drive everyone to the next America First movement, which drives them to the next hero character?
No, clearly it's a big ecosystem. I mean, it's like, you've talked about that. I don't know how many times. You always talk about that. I mean, it's like, it's clear, it's obvious, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so like these ecosystems, like Joe Rogan, he'll get people onto the show and pushing, infomercials with what's a Chase Hughes guy that everybody sends me videos. I'm like, Chase Hughes is obviously part of the op. You know what I mean?
Right,
And,
right.
they have these, it's basically infomercials when they come on, right? And look at Joe Rogan. Why is Joe Rogan perfect? Yeah, MMA guy, so all the tough guys can watch him. Yeah, yeah. And then what does he do? Gets the MMA, gets the tough Americans that we need to defend us to smoke dope and be stupid and weak, right? That's what he does, right? And also he sets the narrative of, oh, the borders are open. Oh, wow. Whoa. It's always the, oh, wow. Whoa. So the response is, oh, wow. Oh, let's smoke some dope, right? That's like, I
Listen,
mean,
I might have
seriously.
to start smoking some dope at some point, Michael, to deal. No, just kidding. I'll never. You would yell at me if I did that. If I started up with the
I
dope.
certainly would.
I don't do drugs. Never, 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 never,
I can
never,
tell
never.
you don't do drugs. Look at your face.
No
It's
drugs.
bright and clear and your mind
Oh,
works. You know what I
thank
mean?
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
you. Susie Wiles has cancer, as announced. Interesting press conference yesterday. Susie Wiles and President Trump, she's his chief of staff. Lots of speculation about that. Maybe she's out. Laura Loomer is over in India, running
India.
cover for Donald Trump, acting as his, mouthpiece in India. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I took Laura to the Darien Gap too.
What? Oh, that girl.
Yeah, I took her down there as well.
What is
What's she
she
doing in
like?
India?
She's on a Trump tour, a MAGA promotional tour in India, for Trump, and she was on stage saying that she is one of Trump's closest advisors. They are in contact all the time. She tells him who he can trust and who he can't trust, and like she's basically the woman. So my question is, do you think what's the over under on Laura Loomer stepping in as chief of staff for Susie if she is out? But in that relationship, Laura has been one of the lead attack dogs for the pro-Trump, pro-Israel initiative. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. I mean, you've met her. What are your thoughts on her role?
Yeah, I took her to the Darien Gap, and so I mean, she doesn't hide who she works for. She doesn't hide. Just ask her. You know what I mean?
Who does she work for? Who does she work for?
Israel. She's super clear about that. I mean, this isn't
Really?
like insider baseball. Just ask her. You know what I mean?
She denies it publicly. I mean, is she on the payroll, or do we have receipts on that, or?
How can anybody miss it?
I know she denies it though, Michael.
Anyway, she's quite full of energy and very courageous. I'll tell you that much. I mean, she's Johnny on the spot when it comes down there. But she works for
That's
Israel.
a strange one.
And Israel is America's greatest enemy, right? There's no question about Israel is an enemy of the United States. They're behaving as an enemy. Who is an enemy of the United States? People who behave as an enemy of the United States are enemies of the United States, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are being, look, President Trump is an installed president. He is, and whoever follows him will be installed as well. They have gotten us into a war. Look, as soon as this war kicked off, I mean, within hours, I messaged over to Eric Prince, and I said, you know what? I bet we're going to get kicked out of. Basically, I'd have to look at my message. Basically, this could end up with the United States being kicked out of the Middle East, obviously. And it could end up with the destruction of Israel as well. Now, keep in mind, the Zionists don't care about Israelis. They don't give a crap about Israelis. They're nothing to them. In fact, the Israelis are in the way of the transnational Zionists, right?
Awful.
Transnational Zionists are very powerful, but they don't need Israel. They don't need the people of Israel. They want the land. It's next to the Suez Canal. They want to build the Ben Gurion Canal. There's that energy off of Gaza and the Indo-European corridor and Haifa, of course. I mean, that's vital terrain, Israel. That's in a very important part of the world, just like Panama is. That's why one of the main power structure in Panama is Zionist. A main power structure in Argentina is Zionist. That's why Milei is the president down in Argentina, right? I mean, that's why, the most important little piece of real estate on earth is Strait of Hormuz. And that's it. But there are other ones that are absolutely vital, like Panama, right? And Israel.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. Well, obviously, this is obvious. for international trade and a connected globe, right? Where we're buying and selling and trading with one another. These canals are absolutely critical. It seems as if the people who run things and who are running this war psyop on us, the controlling factions, are hell bent on shutting down the international canals and straits. They want, at least for a time, to shut down global international trade. So this is why I'm saying that doesn't mean that regular people don't want to live and eat food and have things, right? Like regular people in Iran and in Japan and in China and in Russia and Ukraine and the United States and Mexico and Brazil, like all these places still want to live and fall in love and get married and build houses and plant gardens and do things that humans do. So I want to go back to, what I'm seeing as a hedge against that. So they shut down international trade. Well, then we become hyper localized and we go back to the way it was maybe 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago, where we use the resources within our own countries or within our own communities to survive and thrive and do our things. Like, can you see something like that happening, like a huge cultural shift? We know that these globalists have a ton of money and a ton of power, and they want to own everything and depopulate the world. But they're also decrepit cretins, and they take each other out, and they're all hopped up on drugs too. And they probably, they have a million different things that could impede their efforts, namely a clear and awake population of people within the broader culture. So could you see something like that happening? Could you see the culture? Because I look at the culture rejecting vaccines. 56% of Americans, Michael, today believe that the COVID shots have contributed to serious and debilitating adverse events and sicknesses. That's amazing that the culture knows that. The majority of the American culture is not taking the COVID shot, somewhere over 80%. You see vaccine uptake rates plummeting in every single category, right? So could you see that as a hedge against what these crazy people are doing? Could you see that working?
Clearly, this whole AI future that they envision, it's not invincible. It's invincible if you let it be. But you see what happened now over in the Middle East, data centers getting thwacked. You know what I mean?
Yes. Let's go.
And keep in mind, with the abilities that people have now with these drones, they're taking out our airplanes and whatnot. The idea of China versus Russia versus the United States and Israel and all these guys will easily take out each other's data centers with drones and thermite, right? Look at all the drones they're launching, huge amounts of drones. Nobody can even count them all. All they have to do is land on the roofs and set them on fire.
Crazy.
This is the sort of thing that they're openly talking about, right?
Right.
They're openly talking about doing things like this. And so, I'm just, taking what I'm hearing and repeating it. They're clearly looking at taking out each other's data centers.
Yeah. Well, that's where I can see a silver lining in these dark, dark clouds. I think we're about halfway through the global war. I would say, if I were to guess, Michael, you tell me what you think, that in earnest, like they've been planning this for some time, but in earnest, it felt like the line in the sand was COVID lockdowns. And we kind of got through that. Now we're moving into the economic meltdowns, the financial warfare, the famine that you talk about, the attempts to lock down again in terms of global economies. And we're going to have to get through this as well. Do you see it that way? And as we conclude here, what gives you hope in all of this? Like, what, in terms of the bigger picture, you're married, you have a beautiful wife, you have a life that you want to protect, as do most of the people watching today. What would be your recommendation and your advice to people who are not involved in all the intrigue? We are not in the high places of finance or politics or geopolitics. We're just down here trying to figure out what's going on and survive. But if you could speak to that as we close up, where are we in these historic times, this global battle, and what would you recommend people do to protect themselves and to survive all of this, because it will be over at some point for a while, right? In my opinion. Go ahead.
Right. Every mushroom cloud has a silver lining. It's something that, it is. I mean, I think very importantly, a lot of Americans have realized who our actual enemies are, right? They
Right.
are the people controlling our government, right?
Yep.
And another enemy are the people who constantly, and not necessarily that they're bad people, but they're making the thinking error of always choosing the least of the bad, right? They're going,
Right.
who would you vote for? Biden? Trump is the only guy on planet Earth that could make Biden look smart. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, seriously, Trump, he's actually making Biden look smart. I mean,
I gotta say, I could go for a little Biden right now. Like 2026 has been a nightmare. Nightmare.
And Biden was absolutely evil, straight up, as dumb as it gets, except for Trump, who actually outdid him. I mean, this idea of let's go to war with Iran, and he's a complete clown. If they put the Marines over on Carg Island or any of these places, the Marines almost certainly are going to get obliterated. I mean, they'll be killed, right? I mean, what are you going to put a few thousand Marines there? Put 10,000 there. They'll get killed. Don't do it, right? It went from a lot of people are like, they're not going to attack them. I'm like, I think they're going to attack between 22nd of February and 3rd of March. People kept asking me, do you think they'll attack? And I'm like, yes, 22nd of February to the 3rd of March, right? Somewhere in there, I mean, and then it was 28th of February, right? Almost right in the middle, right? And so there you go. I mean, it's very obvious what's happening. And then it goes from he'll never put in ground troops to we're like, did you just use the never word? It's like, I mean, he will absolutely do it. He's a complete clown.
What about a draft? People are worried about a draft.
The draft, that's one of the ways to get rid of our best young people, right?
Unbelievable.
The ones and to put then these invaders into uniform to genocide us on our streets and put us into camps and kill people.
Horrifying.
That's the draft. I and others have warned about this for years. The draft will be used to kill off the good guys and then replace them with these people who came across the border and don't even speak English, right? The next thing you know, you'll have Israelis are in all of our special operations, and you'll have Haitians that are running around the streets in uniform, throwing people in jail, wearing uniforms, right? I mean, people that barely speak English, right? That's exactly what's apt to happen.
We saw that happen. We saw that happen with the ICE agents, right? They basically went on a recruitment campaign with the ICE agents for the operation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And these were guys they plucked off the street, no training. They gave them $50,000 bonuses. They put hoodies on them and masks, and they went in and terrorized the good people of Minneapolis, Minnesota for how many weeks, and called it, controlling the border and getting rid of illegal aliens. So we've seen them do it before. Now, they weren't necessarily.
Can I say something about that? Yeah. That's important.
Sure.
Speaking of Minneapolis, those Somalis that are up there, who put them there? HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. They're pulling people out of Somaliland, which the Zionists have wanted to take Somaliland since the 1800s. So HIAS brags about it on their own website. HIAS brags about taking people from Somalia and putting them in Minneapolis. If you look online, HIAS and Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society in Minneapolis, you'll see HIAS bragging about helping people get into positions of power and that sort of thing. So they take Somalis from there, which is a targeted area. Israel has recognized Somaliland maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago or so. They recognize that as a new country, right? So if you look where Somaliland is on the map, it's absolutely geostrategically vital terrain, right? The Zionists have wanted to have that since the late 1800s, right? So here they go. They've already done all the studies. They did those back in the 1800s and the early 1900s. And then they put them, why Minnesota? Minnesota is the headwaters of the Mississippi River, right? It's right there on Lake Superior. I mean, it's where the Northern Railroad, it's routes and resources.
Everything, right, Michael Jan?
Every war you've ever heard of is about routes, resources, and or ideology. It's routes, resources, ideology, right? And ideology is about human resources, right? So it's routes and resources. And ideology is often weaponized. For instance, in the case of Israel, it was the routes and resources of that area ideology was weaponized in order to clear the land, right? So, the Schofield Bible and all these sorts of things, long comprehensive plan, which is still underway, and routes, resources, and ideology, weaponized ideology.
Well, there's a lot there. I mean, one of the difficulties in figuring all of this out is that they don't offer up their plans to us, do they, Michael? Everything is in secret in
They
the
do.
dark. I mean, they do, but listen.
We don't know the specifics. We don't know
Right.
if Netanyahu was hooded up. I don't know that. But in
Right.
general, they actually do. It's
Yeah.
all out there. It's plain
It's
to
true.
see. You just have to study. I mean, that's why I made my library. It took years.
Well, your library, yeah, you're great. Michael, you're one of my favorites. This is a really interesting conversation. And your perspective is so incredibly important. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. Let's wrap this up. What should people do? Tell me, give the audience, now that we've frightened everyone, we've got a minute left, 2 minutes. What should people do to prepare? Go for it.
Yeah, I want to repeat, everybody watching this comes from a long line of people that have been in wars and pandemics and famines and dictators and everything else. There is no exception. We all come from people that were in big earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes, and we're still here. I'm still happy, weirdly. Despite all the stuff I know, I'm happier now than I've ever been in my life.
Me too.
It's like, things just keep getting better. There's a silver lining around every mushroom cloud. It's internal, right? Find meaning and do it, right? No intoxicants, zero. No, if any music makes you feel angry or sad, or get rid of that music. Burn it, get rid of it. No intoxicants, get good sleep, get good sunshine, get out there and walk around and find meaning and do it. Because be a teacher. It's very important to be a teacher. The most important thing you can do is be a good teacher, right? A good family member and a good teacher. Right. Because you know things I need to know. I know things you need to know. Everybody watching this knows things that others need to know. So becoming a good teacher is vital. That's what you do with your podcast, is you teach people, right? So everybody needs to do it within their circles, things that you know, but first, obviously, study hard and then start to teach. And people are going to find holes in your knowledge, and that'll make you a better teacher.
That's right. Right. I love it. Michael Yon, how can people support you? Your Substack is up, right? Where should people go on the Substack and on Twitter to follow you?
On my name, on Michael Yon, Y-O-N, and my Substack, you can subscribe and pay if you want to, but everything is free because I know some people can't afford it. Those who can't afford it, I really appreciate your signing up, but I know there's grandmothers out there that cannot afford it, and they need, I need the money to operate, and they need information to live. So those who can't afford it, thank you very much. And those who can't afford it, just read and study and be a teacher.
Greatly appreciated, Michael Yon. You're the best. One of my all-time faves. Hope to have you on again soon and keep up the great work, okay?
Next week.
Let's go. Let's go. You want my show? I'll give it to you. All right.
Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael Yon. You're the best. And thank you, guys. We went long today. I wanted to give Michael more time. And so Annie Cyrus, our producer, thank you for bearing with me and staying on with us a little bit longer. Really appreciate you. Thank you guys for sticking with us for the whole show. Always very interesting perspective and critical perspective, I think, from Michael Yon. So thank you to Michael. Tomorrow, we have Doc Malik in the Joy Virtual Studio. On Thursday, we have Brett Miller. And then next week, really thrilled to welcome for the first time in the Joy Virtual Studio, we're going to have Nicholas Hulcher, who has been doing some great research and work in the medical freedom arena, along with some other great guests as well. So we still have a lot coming up. Make sure you guys get your tickets. 2 days left for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We have about 30 tickets left before we sell out. We have Dr. William Makis, Sasha Latapova, myself, a whole roster of phenomenal speakers. And the topic is cancer care in the 21st century. What does that look like here in the US? It's going to be an amazing live event right here in Rochester, New York. TheShannonJoy.com, TheShannonJoy.com. Get your tickets today. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on The Shannon Joy Show.